World number one Scottie Scheffler having a seat waiting for a ruling. A wayward drive left on his 18th hole of the day. Forced the punch out, the approach was then long, a chip and a putt. Made for a fifth and final bogey of the day for Scheffler, offset by 6 birdies. However, the world number one taking the circuitous route to that 71 in his continued pursuit of more history. He sits in total at 5 under, well within the conversation, but Justin Rose maintaining his spot atop the leaderboard. It was a postcard day out at Augusta. CBS golf analysts Rick Gehman and Michael Bree join us from the grounds. Fellas, quite the leaderboard shaping up as we head to the weekend, and I want to start right there at T3 with Rory Corleone, because just when I thought it was out, he pulls me back in. Ripped off that stretch of red numbers to start the second 9, guys. Michael, how did McIlroy recapture momentum after what happened late on Thursday?
Well, I think obviously a conversation must have taken place with somebody, whether it was Dr. Rotella or Brad Faxon or somebody. A conversation took place. And I think this is the maturity that Rory has, and this is the quiet mind now that he has after what happened at this time yesterday. And he comes back and he bounces back, and everybody was writing him off, honestly, right? They were thinking he's done. And he didn't do that. He went out there and he played a bogey-free round, shot the round of the day, and has put himself 2 shots back as he heads into Saturday. And I think about this, I go, this is the Rory that you expect. And if you think about like what took place at the end of yesterday, Rick, you think to yourself, man, this guy could be sitting at 10 under atop this leaderboard without a problem.
Very easily. Yeah, very easily could be atop the leaderboard. I'm impressed with the turnaround. This was easily a major championship that could have gotten away from him after those 2 late doubles on Thursday. And for him to come out and he basically had to shoot the round of the day, or at least that's what people were saying after his opening round to get back into this golf tournament. I was lucky enough to be out there for a lot of this round with Rory, and he was in full Rory bounce, especially through Amen Corner. I think the line he took on 13 was probably a little more right than he would have liked to, but he ends up knocking it right at the pin there and converting for eagle. And even there, I thought Moose, this is a situation where he did the same thing yesterday. He was great through the first 14, and then the wheels fell off. What's going to happen next? Luckily, he finished strong. I was impressed by that.
The thing that I loved was that eagle at 13. He played the par 5s today in 4 under par. And if you're Rory McIlroy, that is one of the things that you've got to do is take advantage of the par 5s. That's exactly what he did. And now he's just 2 shots back.
Said he had to remind himself how good of golf he's playing right now. And no golf better than his 66 here in the second round. Rick, it was his foil at Pinehurst in Bryson DeChambeau, also in hot pursuit here in round 2. His distance still provides one of the greatest advantages in this game. Playing the golf course for some different spots on Friday. Even left meat on the bone, Michael, to your point, at the par 5s on the second 9. What has he done to make himself, Rick, such a permanent character on these major weekends as of late?
Yeah, I think that he has really blossomed into a great major championship player. Obviously, he has a very strong advantage at U.S. Open venues, potentially PGA Championship venues, the thick rough, being able to kind of extract himself with his clubhead speed. But, Michael, the way that he's started to play Augusta National is incredibly impressive. I mean, this is a guy who could not figure out the undulation on these golf courses for the first 5 or 6 trips around here. I don't know if it was the touch that he lacked around the greens, but that baseline with the driver where he is just able to put 30 or 40 yards between him and a lot of his peers, it sets him up for so many different angles and so many better positions to come in. And you know this better than anybody, Michael. If he can hit a shorter club in, he can hit it higher. These greens are firm. They are fast. They can be a little bit more receptive when you can find his apex.
Averaged 322 off the tee in round 2, 31 yards beyond the field average. I'd call that advantage, certainly. Michael, perpetually tinkering with the hardware in the bag, but it seems that there's a freedom in the swing right now with Bryson DeChambeau, really attacking the golf ball here in round 2. What are you seeing in Bryson's move?
You mean his move, his golf swing? Mm-hmm. I see one thing that I can't see, which is speed. That thing is going so fast. It's hard to know what's going on. But I will say this, and to Rick's point, what's fascinating to me about Bryson is you think about Rory McIlroy, and you think about a guy who apexes the golf ball at about 140 feet. We were covering this on Masters on the Range this morning. About 140-foot apex for Rory McIlroy, and you're thinking, well, he's got to be the highest golf ball hitter in the game. And then out comes Bryson. And not only does he go to 161, but he actually brought one up to 172. 172. Moose, if you went to go and look at 172, your hair would get out of place. I'm just telling you right now, that's exactly what would take place. This guy has an advantage, and the advantage is the apex. The advantage is the descent angle as well. That golf ball is coming into the green at 50, 54 degrees as it enters the green. That takes greens and it makes them a whole lot bigger. And when you're playing greens that are firm and fast, that descent angle is huge. He also gets the spin because of the clubhead speed, so it's an advantage. Now, one of the things that you worry about with Bryson, what's going to take place with the short game? What's going to take place with the putter? And right now, it looks fantastic. And so I kind of sit there and I think, you know what? Bryson's doing all the right things. He has calmed his soul. You know, he opened up that line a couple of years ago. This is a par 67. That was a bad idea. But he seems to have righted that ship. And I think, Rick, this is what makes Bryson so interesting is he's calmed down. And I think part of it is the way he has embraced the social media.
He's comfortable in his own skin now. We talked about this before. He has never been more comfortable in his own skin.
It certainly seems that way. He is a great showman, soaking in the moments even here on Friday, and more moments to come on the weekend as he has injected himself into the conversation once again. But everybody's still looking up at the same they were following 18 holes, that being Justin Rose, who employed strategy to keep him at the top of the leaderboard more than anything else. A lot of stress-free tap-in pars on this day, pulling 3-wood more often than not. Rick, how do you assess the staying power of the 44-year-old on the weekend?
Yeah, we were just talking about this, trying to figure out what the next couple of days are going to look like for Justin Rose, and he took a very strategic approach. He said, hey, I've got a lot of time here before that late Saturday tee time. I'm going to talk with the team and figure out what our plan is going to be. There's going to be a lot of recovery there. He might go out and try to cement some swing thoughts, you know, all the usual golf talk, right? All the stuff that he makes sure that he is using before he doesn't talk himself out of this major championship. But if I look at this statistically, you know, he's done a lot of work on and around the putting surfaces, and that's okay. That's his talent. He leans into that aspect of his game, but as this golf course gets more difficult over the course of the weekend, as we expect it to do, he's probably going to have to drive it a little bit better. He's probably going to have to give himself some more birdie opportunities, or at least miss in the right spot. So I'm cautiously optimistic that Justin Rose will be a factor over the final 2 days, but he's got a lot of thoroughbreds trying to chase him down.
I would add that one of the things that you worry about with Justin is it's almost too thought out. That's what I worry about. There are two things. Like, will he be aggressive when he needs to be aggressive? That's one. And then the second thing is the fatigue factor. You mentioned that he's 44 years of age. That's absolute. But they're 5.5-hour rounds that they're playing. The winds are really up. And he has been sort of monotonous in his mindset of how I'm going to play each and every shot, what flags I'm going to get to. Not that anybody else hasn't been that way, but it is very fatiguing. And so you think about all this, you think about the age, you put it all together, you mix that in the soup, you kind of stir it around a little bit, and the next thing you know, what you end up with is what are we going to get from his mind? He needs to be 100% focused with what's taking place in his mind. And you wonder if the fatigue is going to have him take one swing off. And around here, you take one swing off, take one pitch off, it can end up being like a double bogey like we saw with Rory.
Is this like when an NFL coach scripts the first 15 plays, they don't go very well, and now you look around like, well, now what, right? I'm off script here. I'm off script. I got to do something different.
We didn't have an explosive scripted out. Might need an explosive on the weekend, Justin Rose, that is, with all of the thoroughbreds, as you referred to, Rick, giving chase. And the biggest amongst them, Scottie Scheffler, didn't have a prototypical Scottie Scheffler day. Through 23 holes, bogey-free in this golf tournament, and then rode the roller coaster from 8 on in. 5 bogeys in this round. It's his first round of 5 bogeys or more since round 3 at the PGA Championship last year, which was that adrenaline dump after he found himself the day prior in handcuffs. What do you attribute the wobble to, Rick?
Oh, boy. I think if I could boil it down to one single thing, it would be his distance control. And the reason that I point that out is because Scottie Scheffler is the absolute best in the world with his irons and always hitting it the right distance. He might miss a little left. He might miss a little right. Never leaves himself in a bad spot, but he's usually always pin high, and we did not see a lot of that. I mean, he hit an approach on 11 that he just purely chunked. It came up like 40 yards short. Found the water on 13, was still able to make par there, which, again, is very very Scottie Scheffler-esque. The uncharacteristic round of putting so many squares on the card and still finding a way to get it under par. I mean, it feels just relentless for this guy.
But you think about this for a second. Scottie Scheffler, if you looked at that scorecard, Scottie Scheffler only made 2 pars on the second nine. 2 pars. He's made 6 birdies for the whole round, and he shot 1 under par. And what I attribute this to is this. He has had this lingering shot over these last, say, 5-6 tournaments, and that has been the driver and the shots he's working underneath, and he's starting to hit some shots that go to the left. I thought he had worked that out at Houston. I thought I saw some really fine play out of him. He shot that 62 on Friday. He played Sunday's round beautifully, 63. He hit some great shots. But yet at the same time, you look at what happens on 18. There's a little fatigue that's taking place there. It's a long day, 5.5-hour rounds, and boom, he hits this left shot again. I thought it was out. It's not. And now the question becomes, to your point about distance control, which I think is spot on, because what you think about when you think about Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, distance control, absolutely phenomenal. Scottie Scheffler, one of the very best that's ever played in this sport with distance control. And yet at the same time, it wasn't great today. The left shot was back. I'm sure he's going to be able to put it together. He's got a late tee time. He might do a little bit more work Saturday before playing that third round than he might normally. And we'll see what ends up happening in the third round.
No bogey-free players remain here through 36 holes, and our field cut in half as we head to the weekend here at Augusta. Rick Gehman, Michael Breed, appreciation as always, fellas. More coming from this pair in just a bit. We've got you covered all weekend long here on CBS Sports HQ and our family of networks, CBS and Paramount Plus, all day long tomorrow, starting at 12 Eastern Time on Paramount Plus. The thrilling third-round action at the Masters. Coming up, we're back out to the guys. Not everybody on the right side of that cut line. With the big names moving forward, a few that are not. It's all coming next on CBS Sports HQ. The weekend is not for everyone. 53 players inside the cut line, set at 2 over. Brooks Koepka, not one of them due to some struggles at the last. The 5-time major champion coming apart at the 18th. A quad bogey 8, taking them from inside the cut line to outside in an instant. Friday 75 and a week cut short. Koepka not alone in his struggles, back out to Augusta National with the guys. Whose performance are you most disappointed in relative to expectation this week, Rick?
Well, we just saw the footage there. It's Brooks Koepka for me, and I want to remind everybody, this is the modern champion of majors outside of Tiger Woods, right? Nobody has won more majors since Tiger Woods than Brooks. He's got 5 of them, right? We love to see that number, and he's fully healthy. He tells us that these are the only things that matter for him. Even the way it went down, which was an eagle on 15, you think, okay, here we go. Maybe Brooks can make a run over the course of the weekend. No, he makes a bogey on 17. He finishes up with a quad on 18 to end his chances. That's just, it's going out with a whimper from a guy who prides himself on being a lion.
Michael, when you look at this field, and I know we had a lot of picks made and a lot of names that we circled in the lead up to the Masters, and it's that razor's edge. It's such an exacting test, and we heard Rory McIlroy talk about how a great hole can turn into one that brings your week to an end. Who fell short of your expectation this week?
Well, a guy that I had as a long shot was Russell Henley for a lot of reasons. I mean, he's been playing great. He was a long shot at 50-1, and yet he's 7th in the official world golf rankings. Now, you look at him as a Georgia guy and a grass he's comfortable with, a place he's comfortable with, and he played great back in 2023. He made 7 cuts in a row, and I'm thinking, this is like, I'm going to feel like Rick Gehman here. I'm going to be able to make a prediction that's going to be correct. I'm going to go with Henley. And all of a sudden, somebody slapped me in the face, and the next thing you know, Henley's like chasing it. He opens up terribly, and then he kind of puts it together in round 2, and he's charging, and I'm going, okay, here comes my boy. Let's go to it. When and all of a sudden, he's got it right at the number. He's 2 over, and then he makes a bogey at 18. So how am I feeling? Like, dinner is not going to taste good for me. I don't know what's going on. Like everybody talks about how dinner's going to taste a whole lot better when you make a birdie at the last. Dinner tastes a whole lot worse when Russell makes a bogey at the last.
It's a tough business, Michael.
It's the worst. I'm glad I don't do what you do. Let me tell you right now. I'm glad I help people play better golf. I'm glad I'm not in the, hey, pick this guy, because I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, heavy lies the head of Rick Gehman here. More right than he is wrong, and I will stand on that platform for him. But Henley is one of those names that we thought could be a longer shot. Sepp Straka won as well, a couple Georgia Bulldogs who should be comfortable in this place that are going to miss the weekend. Let's get back on the good foot, operate more in the positive once again. Ludvig Åberg is 5 off the lead, yes, a 1 over 73, not what he was looking for, but I'm taken back at the way that the Swede has just taken to this place. He's now played 6 competitive rounds at Augusta National, has yet to 3-putt. How has he learned this place so quickly, Michael?
Well, I think one of the things that happens nowadays is we all watch this tournament, and the way this tournament is brought to us through CBS, we get to watch all kinds of golf. We get to watch on the range. We get to watch how the players are playing. We get these flyovers. We get conversations with Scottie Scheffler on how to play each and every hole. There's connections that take place with player to player to player, and the wisdom that is gained by Bernard Langer or Freddie Couples gets passed down. So it doesn't surprise me that anybody in a first or second time around here would understand how to play the golf courses, the nuances that take place on the greens. That wouldn't surprise me at all. You're also talking about a guy who has really jumped a lot of hurdles very, very quickly, Rick. He has gone from a college player to a Ryder Cupper to a best player to not win a major kind of conversation.
Yeah, I think that Ludvig is definitely a unique type of player, right? Maybe he's a unicorn. We're in his 5th major championship. He already has a great resume. He's already kind of being earmarked as a potential future #1 player in the world. But Michael's right. This is the advancement of technology, of data, of coaching, of information, of everything that is starting to make that learning curve a lot easier for these young guys. Of course, getting out here and feeling the undulations in the greens and hitting shots and seeing the way that they release in different conditions. You know, we heard Rory McIlroy say, I've hit that chip 100 times. I should know exactly what it does. There is still that work that has to be done, but a lot of the preparation is being done at such a high advanced level for all of these guys before they even step on the golf course.
And one thing I would add here, Moose, is this, and this is something that you can't pass down from person to person to person, and that is the understanding of how to resist temptation. Augusta National asks you to play at certain shots. They did that on the 16th hole today, where they give you a little front hole location and a 162-yard shot, and you want to take that shot on. And all of a sudden, people are making doubles. We saw Cameron Young struggle over there as well. And you're not going to be able to say, okay, listen, don't shoot at that, because the guy's playing pretty good as he comes into 16. And so, for me, I think Ludvig understands the golf course really, really well, but now all of a sudden it's a different game. Now you're in here on a Saturday and then eventually a Sunday here. The question will be, how can he overcome those moments where he wants to shoot at a flag, a hole location, that he should not be going after?
5 off the lead. We'll see if he can make a push on Saturday. You know, some guys you have to squint to imagine them in the green jacket. Ludvig is not one of those. It almost feels like a when and not an if, but that is something we have said about plenty, including the man near the top of the leaderboard who's still efforting that first green jacket. It is not a post round if we do not do Rick on Vic. That is Victor Hovland back from the abyss with that win at the Valspar. Still not preaching confidence, let's say. He's down on himself. He was set for a late tee time now on Saturday due to his play over these first 2 days, but still sort of going about his business with a question mark. What did you see in his round, Rick?
Yeah, I might need a couple of hours here, Moose. So, I mean, this is such a fascinating story. I mean, you go back to 2003, he just goes on a tear, or excuse me, 2023, goes on a tear. He's our tour champion, and then 2024 is essentially a lost year. 2025, he's starting to play a little bit better, but not if you ask him. He grades his game. He's been giving us grades on his game. No one speaks more about his golf swing, more about his coaching changes than Victor does. He said he was a 1 non-functional swing earlier this year. His Valspar victory, I believe he graded a 4. That's out of 10. This week he's giving himself a 6 or a 6.5. So things are definitely getting better. We're trending upwards. I don't know if he needs a 9 or a 10 out of 10 to win a major championship, but the thing that I love about this is that he really turned this thing around on Thursday afternoon. He made just a very brutal double at number 9. He putted it off the front of the green. He immediately bounces back on 10, gets one there, and he's played very good golf ever since that moment. So he's tough. He wants this very badly. He is somebody who is not going to give up on any shot or any round, and now he is going to be in the mix again on a weekend.
The question that I've got for Vic, and you can see that on the scorecard, those last 2 holes on 17 and 18, he rolls off 4 birdies in a row, and you're thinking, man, he does have something. And he's talked about the confidence that he has, even though it's a 6. Yeah. And by the way, if that's what a 6 looks like, I don't even know. Like, I'm up like a 0.5.
Yes.
I don't know where you are on that. I know, Moose, you're carrying that fake 9. Yeah. That's got to be at least a 3,
yeah, okay.
Right? But the point is that, here's Victor, and you wonder how he finishes, and he goes bogey on those last 2 holes. And I start to think, if he's telling himself that he's not playing really, really well, does that eventually lead to him not playing well? And so that's what I worry about with Vic.
It's interesting. I think a little bit of it is a defense mechanism. I think that if he says, it's a 6.5, but I still he in his brain says, okay, I've still got room to improve. I'm actually using that as fuel. I'm using it as a chip on my shoulder, as opposed to saying, hey, I might stink at golf right now. I don't know. It's mental game. These guys are sick in the head at all times, and Victor is not immune from that.
Listen, I go 6.5. That's a D. If that's a D game, like what he just showed me is a D, man, we're all in trouble.
Yeah, there's still a bit of aw shucks in it here for Victor Hovland. We'll see what sort of move he can make on Saturday, because like Wild thing, the fastball, it's as good as anybody else, but he's got to find the zone. We'll see if he can keep it in the zone come Saturday. I do want to fill out this leaderboard. You gentlemen have done a fantastic job taking us from the top to about that 3 under mark, but there's some 4s, 5s, and 6s in there. Corey Connors, Matt McCarty, Shane Lowry, Tyrrell Hatton, Jason Day, Rasmus Højgaard. I'm going to give you any one of those, Rick, that you think can be a mover on Saturday and further inject themselves into the conversation.
Well, I don't know if I'll go that far for Matt McCarty. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's in the mix on the weekend. But we have got to talk about what he did in this second round. Michael, immediately makes double out of the gate.
Yeah, he goes 6-6.
6-6, so that's double. And then a bogey on the par 5-2. And then he goes absolutely nuclear, rattles off 8 birdies over the course of his next 15 holes before finishing up with another bogey. I mean, it looked like a mistake on the scoreboard. There were so many green numbers over par early, and then he just goes nuts into red numbers. I don't know if he has the staying power. I don't know if there is a magical lefty thing around here that Matt McCarty is going to be able to tap into. He's a winner on the PGA Tour. He's 3 times a winner on the Korn Ferry Tour. I hope he plays well, but I want to give him some shouts for what he did on this Friday.
Yeah, I'm going to go in a different direction. Wait, so are you saying McCarty is going to go? Or are you not sure?
I think he's going in the opposite direction.
He's putting it in reverse. He's doing Michael Jackson on us here. I'm not going to do Michael Jackson. I'm going to take a simple one. This is Xander Shauffele. He had kind of a real roller coaster round in round 1. And to your point, Rick, he really saved that round. That could have been a whole lot worse. Yes. He gets it in at 1 over, and then he plays today bogey free. He didn't take advantage of any of the par 5s, and he played the last 9 holes in even par. Yep. And I think Xander's got a good round coming, and it wouldn't surprise me if Xander went out and shot 6, maybe even 7 under tomorrow, and put himself in a position where all of a sudden coming into Sunday, he's 1 shot, maybe 2 shots back here. Keep your eye on Xander Schauffele. I really feel good about him tomorrow.
If he could climb quick, it puts him back in the conversation for Sunday. If he does the unthinkable and comes all the way back, then we go to Oakmont in search of a career Grand Slam 13 months removed from him having none. We'll see how it plays out. The weekend is always the best at Augusta. Gentlemen, fantastic work. Looking forward to seeing you guys here on Saturday and Sunday. Our coverage sprawling here on CBS Sports HQ all day long throughout the Masters, and concluding Saturday and Sunday with a trip into Butler Cabin and Trevor Immelman. More reaction here to round 2 straight ahead, but you're only as good as your next one. So we push it to round 3. Doug Bell, Shane Bacon aboard with your preview for Saturday. Justin Rose knows his way to the top of the leaderboard at Augusta National. The task of staying there has eluded him. Rose finished round one with a 3-shot advantage, and here, a thing of beauty into Golden Bell, number 12. The picturesque par 3 would be a birdie there for Rosie, who plotted his ball around. He remains his position atop the leaderboard at 8 under. Rory McIlroy, I won't call it Phil from the pine straw, but this was something special. Second shot into 13 to 9 feet from 214, and maybe the body language tells you a little bit right of his intended start line. He'd make the eagle there, the catalyst in what was a round of the day 66. Bryson DeChambeau had a hot first 9 and stalled in the midst. Then at 17, one last circle for the card as DeChambeau sits in second at 7 under, tied for the most birdies made at 12 through 2 rounds. World number 1 Scottie Scheffler trying to do what no man has done in 20 plus, and that's defend a green jacket. Here at the par 3 12th after a long approach, distance control again the issue, but no issue when you chip it like that. Scheffler staying in the mix, but a bogey at the last, T5 at 5 under. For more, we say hello to 2 members of our Golf on CBS team, Shane Bacon and Doug Bell, offering their thoughts following round 2. And guys, we got to start with Rosie here because he finds a way to stay at the top of that leaderboard. Maybe not the most impressive round of golf we took in on this day, Doug, but it was sort of locating the pitches and finding the right spots to pick off a couple more birdies. What do you make of the staying power as we look forward to the weekend now?
Well, Joe, I think Justin Rose showed a lot of staying power today, and I think he was happy with a 1 under par round, which still has him at the top of the leaderboard and in position to do something that he desperately wants to do. And I think, speaking of staying power, now we need to also mention a story that hasn't been talked about. You know, he wasn't qualified for the Open Championship last year. He had no exemptions left. He had to go through sectional qualifying to get one of those spots, finishes top 10 to earn a spot in the Masters. So Justin Rose, listen, he's a major champion, but he was out of exemptions. And so he's making the most of his special spot this week. And wouldn't that be something if he holds it together and holds off some of the biggest names in the game right now? I can't wait to see if the 44-year-old can do it.
Joe, I'm going to give the 44-year-old as big a compliment as I can give him. He resembled today, and the game plan this week has looked a lot like a 5-time Masters winner that won in 2019 when he was in his prime.
Wow.
The game plan was set before the tournament began. And when I say that, I mean, Justin Rose has laid out how to play every hole to every hole location, and he's playing like we saw Tiger play at Hoylake. And I'm the 3 woods off the tees, putting himself in position. I go to 8 today, not hitting driver there, hitting 3 wood. It's been very, very intelligent golf. It looks like Scottie Scheffler in terms of a modern player, and I've been extremely impressed because he has continued to stick to the game plan. Now, things were going to switch. He's going to play with a guy tomorrow that hits it 50 yards past him. And if he can stick to the game plan, which I'm sure he can, I think he's got a real good chance to do this. The putter has been incredible. Some of these golf shots, when he has taken aggressive lines like the one we saw there at 12 and this at 16, I mean, this was wild to take this whole location on. This is as much fun a golf as I've had the pleasure of covering in my entire career today. And Justin Rose was a part of it, because he went about his business differently than any of these young players do, especially at Augusta National.
Special stuff here from Justin Rose through 36 holes. And in respect to 2019 and that game plan, I will say Francesco and Tony are not walking through that door. It's a different cast of characters, as you allude to here, Shane, one of them being the world number 1 in Scottie Scheffler. Not your straightforward 1 under round by Scottie. It was a circuitous route to get there with 6 birdies and 5 bogeys. But as we project him onto the weekend, well within the mix here, what are those 2 green jackets worth that he takes with him?
Well, it's the experience that he has around this golf course. And it, again, kind of goes back to what I talked about with Justin Rose. Him and Ted Scott have this incredible game plan. Not just here. They have it everywhere, and they stick to it. I mean, you saw it at 18. Did anybody think he was going to make 6 when he was under that tree? Did anybody in the room, anybody watching golf, think he was going to make double? I didn't. I'm sitting there watching it with a former PGA Tour winner, and we're like, he'll find a way. You know, I mean, that's just what this guy does. Most of the time at major championships and most of the time at this golf course, especially the way it plays in modern times with the length and how tough these greens are, you're going to have a tough, quote-unquote, bad round. This felt like the bad round for Scottie. Made a whole bunch of bogeys, and he still shot around under par. I'm not worried in the least about the guy. I mean, history says he's not going to win, but I think for Scottie Scheffler, he can look at today as, I didn't have my best stuff. I missed a few putts. I didn't play the way I typically play, and I'm still right there. And everybody on this leaderboard's got to be scared when they see the Scheffler name, especially at Augusta National.
Yeah, Shane and Joe, he was 8 under par after 36 holes when he won in 2022. And last year he was 6 under par. So at 5 under par, he's kind of in the same ballpark. And he admitted after his round today, and nobody was really talking about the wind. And it was really swirling in those pines. And this is not an excuse. He just said, hey, it was blowing my irons off the mark, and that messed him up a bit. Hit only 12 of 18 greens, 11 of 18 yesterday, so the irons have been off, and that was that inexplicable run from 7 to 11 when he dropped 3 out of 5. It's very rare that he has that many bogeys over a 5-hole stretch. So we'll see if he can reel it back in, as they say. Again, he was out of the range working on things, and it was an off day. But again, he's not that far off compared to where he was his last 2 wins at Augusta.
Bogey-free through his first 23 holes here at Augusta, his longest streak to start a Masters in his career, but he does find himself a few back due to those struggles in the midst of this round. Shane, you alluded to the relationship on the bag there with Teddy, and Teddy obviously comes in with 2 green jackets or 2 Masters wins prior on Bubba's bag. So if we want to add them all up, we're talking about 6 wins on that bag heading to the weekend. What does that mean to Scottie? I know there's just the utmost trust in one another there, but to be able to hand his brain over and just hit the golf shots.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. You know, we've followed Scottie the last couple of days on the feature group coverage, and it's incredible just the language that is said from Ted Scott and the confidence he gives them, what he says after golf shots, when he is out of position, kind of the faith he has in Scottie's abilities. Ted's an incredible caddy. I think he was incredible for Bubba Watson. You know, Bubba Watson is a guy that can get extremely up and extremely down. Scottie, not so much, right? As a professional golfer and especially as a young man. And I think Ted can kind of handle personalities. And I think, you know, a lot of the time we can overrate caddies in certain instances. You know, a player switches caddies and we think, oh, here we go. But I think for Ted Scott, the relationship is more than just we work together. I think they're truly friends. I think they kind of have faith together that works really well for each other. And I think Ted looks at Scottie as someone he looks up to. And I think Scottie looks at Ted as somebody he looks up to. And that's not always the case when you think about player, caddy, coach, player, if you go outside of golf and into other sports. And I just continually am impressed by the way Ted Scott goes about his business, not just as a caddy, but kind of as a friend, as somebody that Scottie can lean on in the most pressure-packed moments.
You know, when he took over that bag 4 years ago, he gave him a lot of advice. There was a lot more talk coming from caddy to player than there is now. And if you watch it, and I watch Shane and the guys today, there's not a lot of conversation. I mean, Scottie, he may get approval, a vote of approval from Ted, but this is Scottie's ball game. So we'll see what happens. Again, they are a great team. There's no question. And I think if you're ranking caddies, even though I don't think caddies ever hit a shot, but I think if you're rating caddies, and they do get a lot of play now more than they did 10, 20, 30 years ago, I think Ted Scott would probably be considered the #1 looper in the world today.
Hey, Stevie did all but roll in that putt for Adam Scott in that playoff. Moved him what? What did he say? A couple more cups? A couple more cups, and that was the story in this one. We'll see how these teams come together. I do want to talk about duos, but pairings, that is. Let's roll up our sleeves here, Doug, because this is really just a buffet of ball strikers and some of the best in the world occupying the first and second page of this leaderboard. Who has your undivided attention on Saturday?
Well, it's got to be the final pairing. Bryson DeChambeau is must-watch television. He's reality TV at its best. They say sports is the best reality show anywhere. Bryson DeChambeau is reality TV. I don't know what to expect from him tomorrow. He's played his best 36 holes ever in his 9 years of playing the Masters. He's now 31 years old, and he's talking about patience and being conservative. I was like, who is this Bryson DeChambeau? But I love it. And he's playing with Justin Rose. We've talked about that, how special it would be if somehow at 44 years of age, Jay Rose can pull it off. I'll be watching those guys. And as Shane mentioned, to think Bryson DeChambeau, who's the longest player in the field this week, they measure distances on 5 and 15, and he's way ahead of everybody else, and certainly way ahead of Justin Rose. But it'll be fun to watch the different game plans. Although I will say this, I think Bryson DeChambeau will take a page out of Justin Rose and be very, very patient and very conservative heading into moving day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Doug. I mean, I can't wait to watch these two. Very different people, different ages, different times in their lives. They play golf extremely differently. But for Bryson, I mean, he's become must-watch TV. And it's not just because of what he does off the golf course. It's because the way he plays golf and the way he can kind of dominate the ball off the tee and the way he rolls it. I mean, that putt at 18 today, you saw the fist pump. You saw the excitement out of Bryson knowing he saved par and put himself in a potential position to be in that final pairing. I mean, I think when you watch Bryson, you get everything that's exciting about modern golf. When you watch Justin Rose, he plays a little bit like an old school player, especially now at 44. And so, I mean, you're talking about two completely different golfers. And this is why golf is so great. This is why major championship golf is so great. And this is why the Masters is the best golf tournament in the world, because you don't get a lot of this elsewhere. It's not always going to happen at a U.S. Open or at a PGA, but it happens time and time again here at Augusta National, and we're going to get a lot of that tomorrow. I expect both of these guys to go out there and kind of throw their pitches.
Halfway home, I do want to get a pick from you fellas. Before we do, I want to knock one in for the fellas. Shane, I know you've shared the airwaves with Max Homa before, and I heard you say on the broadcast today there's not going to be a grittier round of golf this week than the one that Max Homa put together here. He makes his first cut since July of last year in a cut event. What did this day mean for Max?
You know, Max is a tough dude, and he's been a tough guy his whole career. I mean, he was a great collegiate player, great amateur player, burst on the scene on the PGA Tour. I think he finished his top 10 in his first event as a pro. And then, I mean, if you've listened to podcasts of Max's or read about him, I mean, it went away, and he couldn't find a fairway, and he was a lost player, and he never gave up hope. And I see a little of that guy right now as a pro. And to watch him make bogey at 1, he lifts out that putt, and we're following along, and I'm with Colt Knost, who's a good friend of Max's, and we're not cheering in the press box, but we want to see Max grind it out. And, I mean, he grinded out every single hole. It was incredible. He's not going to win. I don't think Max is going to win this week, but it was a win for Max. It was a win for Max fans. It was a win for the Masters. It was a win for golf. It's easy to give up when things aren't going your way. And he made par after par after par. And then he makes a couple of clutch birdies. I mean, go watch. If you missed his par at 16, go on Masters.com and watch it, because that is who Max Homa is. And you saw the emotion. The text I sent him, I could not read on air. But I was very, very excited about the way he was able to play today, and I know he's excited as well.
Yeah, as characters on our playbill go, that is certainly one we love to have there, and we love having Max Homa here on the weekend. Shane Bacon, Doug Bell. We will have a pick after a quick break. Thank you, fellas. All right, a look here at your live odds to win the Masters following second round play. Rory McIlroy is your odds-on favorite, despite a pair of doubles. On Thursday, Rory right there near the top of the leaderboard. No one has ever made multiple doubles or worse in a Masters and gone on to win that Masters. Rory McIlroy, it's once again right there within reach. Post round of the Masters here on CBS Sports HQ continues. Doug Bell, Shane Bacon. One thing left to do, gentlemen. It's a club of 56. We'll see if it grows by one or it's another one for someone. A pick to win. Shane Bacon, who gets it done?
Give me Rory, man. I mean, I was so impressed today. You know, he played kind of flat on the first 9 today, makes the turn, hits his 2 best iron shots of the week, the shot into 13, ton of confidence. I mean, flipped it. And I love what he said after. You know, he said after in the Butler cabin, you know, I played 16 holes great yesterday. I played 2 bad holes. He's been the best golfer this year. Give me Rory. Get it done. Make history. This Masters has been too good already not to see it.
In 8 previous Masters, Bryson has never started with 2 rounds in the 60s. He's never gone 22 out of 28 fairways hit over the first 2 days. He's accurate. His putting stroke, he changed it about a month ago, opens it up now on the way back, just a minor little loop. He's hitting everything. Missed 9 greens today. The putter saved him. If Bryson keeps doing that over the weekend, oh, baby, reality TV, how big of a splash would that be? I'm going with the big man, Bryson DeChambeau.
Be still my heart. You're telling me we're running it back from Pinehurst. I mean, give me that final pairing right there and let's feast on a Sunday. Doug Bell, Shane Bacon, fantastic stuff. We'll talk to you guys soon.